Hi, in this video, let's introduce the third things we needed to prepare before the rendering. That is the geometry randomization. Well, let's first open our example, the sample 49. You can see that there's a very simple the origin agent, but no geometry inside of the scene. That means we want to build the geometry from scratch and review this, the entire process step by step for you, for making you understand what's going on for the randomization of the geometry. And you can see that in our document part 8, the render preparation, the randomization geometry. And in this video we're going to talking about the simple geometry randomization, and in the next one we are going to talking about advanced geometry randomization. This is a relatively complex than the texture randomization, but if you just follow my steps, and everything can be very simple. So let's first take a look at the simple geometry randomization. You can see that here there are 3 different levels here, and 1, 2, and 3. The first is the geometry directly under the geometry group. It must be rendered. For example, we are going to create a tank, some tanks, and the tank base must be rendered. And also we're going to create some of the tank the bunker. The bunker can be different shapes as we want to make them the randomization. And the last one, we are going to create some different groups of the cannons. The cannons cannot be only one cannon, so we needed to group them and make the group-based randomization. Okay, let's do them one by one. The first type is must be rendered. Let's create some tanks, and the first thing is the tank base, the cube, things like this. And we needed to clear all of this transformation to 0. And if you want to tweak, you needed to tweak the point of this guy. This is a tank base. And the second thing we needed to create is the 2 different types of the bunker. The one is a cylinder. Zero. And the one is also the cube. Zero. Move the point out. Move the points up. And that is cool. This is a tank. And let's just shrink this down a little bit. Okay, and the first things we are going to create the cannon. The cannons can be the 3 different groups. First create the cylinder. This is first the type of cannon. And Control D. Let's make them hide this. And this is the second type. Control D. And Control D. And hide this. And this is the third type, and makes this more. D. So you can see that some of the cannon has been created. you can see that the base, let's check the document, the base must be rendered. So the base, let's just change the name, tank base. The base should be directly under the geometry group, just like this. And the bunker, this is the bunker 1, the bunker 2. We want our renderer to select any one of this bunker. So this is the geometry randomization. We need to Control G and bunker group, and the parent this group into the geometry. You can see that if the geometry in the first level of the subgroup, it can be randomized. And the third one is a little bit different. This is the first group, the Control G, and this is the second type of the canon, the Control G, and the third type of canon is Control G. We need to Control G for all of them and into the geometry. So you can see that this is the canon GRP. And our engine will select any one of the group inside of that and select all the geometry in this subgroup. So that means this base must be rendered, and this any one of this bunker must be rendered, and any one of the group must be rendered. So this is canon 1, canon 2, canon 3. You can also change the names. Canon 1_1. Let's Control C. 2. Keep this good naming convention. Please do not make it in the repeat name for this. That is cool. And you can see that the different groups can be selected just based on the group that is description in our document. Okay, let's do some render test. Let's also render the scene by mesh drive system. Here you can open the render setting and put the directory in the mesh drive, E drive, ABC, and make sure this the directory is existed inside of your hard drive. The MD test means the mesh drive test. And here, just tear this off and place our agents, export cache, and duplicate mesh. Oh, we forget a step. Some geometry must be binded to the origin agent. This is we forget the first things of the skin cluster. We need to select all the geometry, and the origin agent joint and skin bind, smooth bind. At this time, you can see that we can just move that around. That is cool. And let's duplicate the mesh and randomize texture. Oh, if you see this information, that means there contains some of the transformation data. For solving this problem, we needed to detach the skin and freeze the transformation for all the geometries. The modify, freeze transformations, just to keep the transformation very clean for all the geometries bank. The bunker 1, 2, the canons. That is cool. And then select all the geometries and bind them to the origin agent. Oh, something the more steps. And although I did some extra steps, I think maybe you can meet that in your production. So that I think that is very good for this demonstration. So this time should be all okay. And test the skin. Oh, I forget this. And the skin cluster bind smooth bind. These extra steps should be very good for your production because you may meet these kind of problem in your scene. So I think this time should be done. And the randomization, the geometry is very cool. And let's click duplicate image and the randomize texture and enable mesh drive. Select all of them and show geometry. You can see that on the tanks, on the tank base must be rendered. So all of them should be selected. And the second level is the bunker. You can see that some agents select the cylinder and some select the box. And the third is the group selection. The cannon group 1, the cannon group 3, and the cannon group 2. This is very cool. And the 3 different level of the randomization geometry can help the most of your scene. And I think that should be cool for render. Let's just render the scene. You can see that our tanks has been rendered. Okay, this is our introduction for the randomization geometry. Thank you for watching. See you next time.